Welcome to this edition of the Talk of Simsbury. My name is Dominique Avery. The talk today is about cars, Tesla cars, to be more specific. There are currently more than 1,000 Tesla vehicles registered in the state, and at least 4 of them are here in Simsbury. That's actually remarkable given the fact that even to test drive one, you have to cross state lines, and if you want to buy one, you have to go to New York or Massachusetts or order online. Joining me today are 3 Simsbury residents who have gone to great lengths to buy a Tesla: Mark Scully, Brad Mead, and Andre Guillotone. Welcome to all of you. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
From what I've gathered, Tesla owners all appear to be very tech savvy, environmentally conscious, early adopter kind of people. Andre, you're a software engineer, and I think you're a typical owner. And as the newest owner, maybe you could tell us how you went about buying one and what drove you to it.
Well, interestingly, my first direct exposure to a Tesla vehicle was through Mark. There was an event at Flamig Farm a couple of years ago, and Mark was offering test drives, and I put my hand up very quickly, and he took me out and scared the hell out of me, driving up one of the back roads. But it was very clear that this was a brilliantly engineered car, and in my opinion, not only one of the best cars on the planet, but one of the best cars for the planet. Oh. The fact that it is great for the environment to me is huge. Almost immediately after taking that ride with Mark, I actually went online and made an appointment in New York to test drive the car, which just amazed me. I've driven a lot of cars, I've owned a lot of cars, but the Tesla somehow almost seemed like an extension of me when I was driving it. You could almost think it in the direction you want it to go. Some of the technology that's built into it, including the regenerative braking, is absolutely amazing. And until you've experienced it, you kind of don't know what it's all about. But as someone in the technology industry, it's certainly the technology was hugely important, and the fact that they've built a car with all of the hardware built into it, and yet it's designed to get better the longer you own it, again, is unique in the industry and is, phenomenally effective. In the year that I've owned my car, I've gotten probably half a dozen to a dozen software updates. They come automatically. They come scheduled as I want them. Just push down to the car, and all of a sudden the car's better.
That's funny. Mark, since you introduced the car to him, and I know you've had your car on display, you're sort of an advertiser for Tesla around here. How long have you had yours, and how did you get interested?
I've had my car just over 3 years now, and I've been following the company Tesla and the individual, the head of Tesla, Elon Musk, and believe in their mission, which is not just to build a great car, as you said, but really to move us from this, as they say, mine and burn economy to an electric, sustainable form of transport. So I think it's exciting what they're doing. I think they realize in order to do that, you have to not just make a good car, you have to make a great car. And what they've done is, I think in the past when people thought about electric cars, they were kind of funny looking, they didn't go very fast, and they didn't go very far. And Tesla really has built a great car that is really no compromise. So I think what they're doing, what excites me about the company is they are changing the way people think about electric cars, and they are making a difference. And you can see other auto manufacturers have started to pay attention and have upped their game in the electric vehicle sector.
We just heard Andre's story about where he went to test drive it. Were you the first person in town who had one, or Brad, did you have one?
No, Mark's actually the salesman for everybody in town here. He's I drove with him and then went out and got one after his. So he gets all the commissions.
So okay, so it was
not the case.
so it was you were the first person. So where did you go?
We went down to White Plains, New York, to a store in the mall, and there was a car in the store, and it looks and feels very much like an Apple store. And you do a test drive in the parking garage, and then they bring the car to your house. So it's a pretty good model.
So I think a lot of people are like me and have no idea what exactly is an electric car. How does it work? How far can you drive it? Where do you plug it in?
Well, it's pretty remarkable. First of all, it only has a couple of dozen moving parts. Most cars have about 300 moving parts, and as a result, those things all have an opportunity to break. The reliability of the Tesla, apart from the wheels and the steering wheel and the spritzer and the windshield wipers, everything else is software and a battery. And so when you get in it, the car wakes up, it recognizes who you are. It adjusts the car to exactly your particular favorite dimensions. And then when you start driving it, there's no sound. And as you hit the accelerator, it will go from 0 to 60 in 4.2 seconds. And because the torque is instantaneous, you get slammed into the back of your seat. So Tesla's actually trying to trademark something called the Tesla smile, which is what happens to passengers sitting in the right-hand seat who've never seen it before, and all of a sudden it takes off, and there's just grin that goes from ear to ear, and it's pretty remarkable. It's how Mark sells all these cars in Simsbury.
Well, I don't think that would bring a smile to my face. I am really phobic about driving fast, so I think that would terrify me. I'm never going to climb in one of those cars. Part of the reason I wanted to do the show was that the Tesla chief designer was a graduate of Simsbury High School. Have you met Franz von Holzhausen? Or
I have
do you know
not.
his father?
I have not.
His father lives in Simsbury and works in Avon. I think he has his company is called Group 4 Design.
Right.
You haven't met him.
I have not. I look forward to the day when I can meet him. We invited him to come speak at our innovation fair, but he's been a little busy with this Model 3 that they just released. So yeah, he was head of design at Mazda and really has designed the car that we drive. And born and raised in Simsbury.
Well, Simsbury used to be really known well for innovation. Yeah. I read somewhere that the sale of electric cars altogether is only 1%. How long do you think it's going to take to become something that regular folks like me or my husband?
Well, Tesla, of course, has just announced their new third model, which is the people's car, and they broke a record for pre-order of any object ever introduced into the marketplace. They had over 330,000 pre-orders with a $1,000 deposit. So my concern, I'm sure your concern too, is when we go to the supercharging stations to get charged up, we're generally the only people there. We're a little nervous that all of a sudden there's going to be a lineup. So we're hoping that Elon Musk has that figured out somehow.
But Brad, to your point, I'm sorry, Dominique, to your point, two of the things I think that have kind of held electric vehicles back, and Mark alluded to one of them, was range, and the other is infrastructure. And the fact that Tesla has managed to take the range of an electric vehicle, which for many of the early model electric vehicles, whether it's the Nissan Leaf or even the Chevy Volt, typically at about 40 miles on a charge. The Tesla in daily range is about 230 miles on a charge. Trip range, close to 275, 300 miles on a charge. The other piece is the infrastructure, and Elon Musk realized that there wasn't an infrastructure in place around the country, so he said, fine, I'll build it myself. And so in fact he has built this network of superchargers that Brad alluded to that are expanding all over the country, in fact all over the world. And one of the commitments that they've made this year is spending billions of dollars increasing the supercharger network even larger than it is today. And any Tesla owner can pull up to a supercharger, plug in, typically charge about half of the car in about 20 minutes, and you're off. There's no charge. You just plug in.
No gas station.
No gas station.
So where are these superchargers now?
They're typically along major highway routes. The closest one to us is near West Farms in West Hartford. It's actually right behind the Red Robin restaurant in West Hartford. There's another one in West Springfield. There are lots of them along I-95 down in the Fairfield area. There's one also on the Merritt Parkway at the Greenwich exit.
There are about 9 in New England, spaced in the different highways. But then, of course, you have your own charger at home in your garage, and so you plug that in, and so the only ones you're interested in are the ones that are farther on out. And they're also putting them into hotels. As a hotel owner, Tesla will install not a supercharger, but a standard charger in your hotel for free, and you can provide that to your guests for overnight charging.
So so do you plug your car in every night?
I do.
You come home, and is it a special plug? Is it a special connector?
The charger is actually built into the car, so all you need is electricity. You could use a regular 110 outlet, but probably most of us have 220 outlets. You have your electrician do a 220 as you would use for a power tool or for your dryer. Right. And that's a faster charge. So 99% of our charging is done at home. So that's every morning we have a full car. It's just for those travel, for those trips.
And Mark actually charges from the sun because he's got solar energy panels, and I do as well. I don't know if you
Unfortunately, I looked into it, and our house is not oriented quite correctly, so solar wasn't an option for us.
So we actually go from the sun into the car.
Right.
And that is a good point, because people say, oh, the Tesla or other electric cars are zero emission, and they really aren't, because you need to produce the electricity somehow, and that is done through natural gas and through coal and through nuclear. But it's zero tailpipe emissions, so it's not the entire solution to cleaning up our environment, but it is a significant part. If you can clean up the tailpipe, it's a lot easier then to focus on cleaning the relatively small number of power plants that you have. So it's an important part of the puzzle. It's not. I wouldn't sell it as the whole answer.
So do all of you have sedans, have the regular car, but there's an SUV out now as well, right?
Correct. They started producing SUV a couple of months ago, and then they've got the third model, which is the one that's caused a great deal of excitement because they're going to try and sell it for about $35,000-$40,000.
So that was the next thing I was going to ask about. The price of the Tesla really puts it out of the range of most of us people who buy cars. What is the one that you have purchased? What's the range of that? 70,000, 100,000?
Well, they're probably in the 90,000 by the time you put things on. I know Mark and I have a little more advanced version, and so it tends to come in around 90,000. On the other hand, you have no price for gas. So, and Tesla will finance it at a very favorable rate, and by the time you subtract what you would normally pay for gas, it comes down to not far from a normal car payment.
Tesla's mission has always been to produce an affordable car, and there's a blog post that Elon Musk wrote quite a while back that laid this all out. And their first car was a Roadster. It was a two-seater. It was actually a Lotus Elise body that they converted to electric to show that electric cars can be fast. It was $110,000. They produced 2,500 of them. Our car is the first car really built from the ground up as an electric car. It's the Model S. The Model X, or the SUV, is built on that same platform, so it's referred to as the same generation, and that's less expensive than the Roadster, but still, as you said, it's a premium sedan. So the third Model 3 has been their mission, a $35,000 car with 200-mile range, and that's what people are excited about, because that's what will be out in 2 years.
So this idea of you said there are updates that are sent to you via the internet. I mean, that's just, I can't even comprehend that. So how does that work? What happens if your internet goes down?
The car actually has 3G signal built into it. So you can certainly pull up to your house or anywhere where you've got a Wi-Fi connection and connect the car directly to your Wi-Fi. As it turns out, for example, in my house, my Wi-Fi connection is on one side of the house, my garage is on the other side of the house. So my Wi-Fi signal is really not all that good. So in my case, I turn it off, I let the car's 3G handle all of the software downloads. And typically what happens is I get a notification on my phone as well as in the car that there's a software update available. And a little panel comes up on the control panel. It says, when would you like us to install it? And you just set the time. It can be in the middle of the night. You typically don't want to do it while you're driving, and in fact, it won't let you do it while you're driving. And it just connects to the servers it needs to connect to and downloads the software. And when it's done, it tells you it's successful and then gives you a release list of exactly what it upgraded and what it did. And in fact, that's how all of the autopilot features that were released about 6 or 7 months ago were released to the car. So when I bought my car, there was a promise of the car will be able to drive itself, but it's not here yet. And in fact, 6, 7 months ago when they released software release 7, all of the autopilot features became available, downloaded, and lo and behold, the car now in fact,
use it? Do you
I
use
do.
the autopilot?
Yeah, I've had it drive me into Hartford to work.
Yeah.
I've had it drive me. Recently, took it down to New Haven on a Saturday, and absolutely. In fact, my wife was sitting next to me, and I said, "You mind if I put it in autopilot?" Nah, go for it. So we just. I mean, the weirdest thing is, what do you do with your hands? When you're sitting behind the wheel, having your hands here is a little strange. Every now and again, if the car feels that there's something strange going on around you, and there are sensors all around the car, they will put up a little notice, and you'll hear a chime that says, "Prepare to take the wheel."
I actually read a blog by a car enthusiast who also drives Tesla cars, and he said it's sort of like being on a bus, you know. And he wasn't crazy about it. So I want to get into a little bit, what do you do when you need the car repaired, and also there's a big issue about where you can buy them. And so we're going to take a short break now. Andre is going to leave us to join a meeting, and when we come back, Steve Mitchell, the local car dealer, is going to be here, and we'll talk a little bit about the fact that you can't buy Teslas. There's no place to buy it in the state. Don't go away. We'll be right back. As we mentioned at the start, you can't go to a dealer to buy a Tesla in this state. The company would like Connecticut to change a law to allow them to do that, up to 3 locations to sell directly to consumers, but local car dealers are fighting it. Steve Mitchell has joined us, and he's going to tell us why the Car Dealers Association and you are opposed to Tesla being able to do this.
Well, first off, thank you for having me on. We're all friends. We're all Simsbury people, and for 3 generations, Mitchell Auto Group has paid thousands and probably millions of dollars in taxes locally. We've employed thousands of people. And first off, the car is a great car. Tesla's a great car. No bones about that. And I'm not afraid of technology changes. As you guys both know, we were the second solar-powered auto dealership in the state of Connecticut. Volvo has come out with its form of hybrid. The other products we sell, Ford has electric vehicles, so does Volkswagen. I am not opposed to the change at all. What Tesla is doing is trying to get around the franchise system in this country, and it's really not beneficial to the customer, to be honest with you, in the long term. We're all in this new love stage. We're all in the newlywed stage of Tesla. The whole country, we're in the newlywed stage because it's such a wonderful product. And oh boy, wait a minute, my friend Stan, who you turned a Tesla into, he's got to go to Milford this week for service. So in the long run, Tesla and Elon Musk, the vision of controlling everything. I don't think one person controlling everything is really a good idea. It's really not consumer friendly. In the end, in this election cycle, and the big hot topic is, where are all those middle income jobs? Where's middle America going? One of my favorite expressions is either you're part of the problem or you're part of the solution. Tesla, in its center down in Milford, they're going to control everything. Tesla, the manufacturer, is going to control everything. There are 14,000 jobs in the state of Connecticut right now by independent auto dealerships that compete in a franchise system that has worked for years and years. It's not perfect, as we know, because we're in litigation right now, kind of against a segment of the franchise laws. I won't get into that here, but So on certain ways, getting around, and again, those jobs that we create as franchise auto dealers, the average of those 14,000 jobs, is $50,000 to $60,000 a year. When if Tesla does come into the state, it's going to be controlled by somebody in California, by the God. God will set prices. God will set the wages for these little centers that those little boutique places that they're proposing to set up around Connecticut. So,
okay,
But go ahead.
Let me, Mark and Brad, or either one of you to.
Well, I just I get the jobs part because that's obviously a big issue. But if you're a Tesla owner at the moment, fortunately, it doesn't break very often. So I haven't, in 2 years that I've owned it, I haven't had to do anything that they couldn't fix by software long distance over the internet. It's really wild because I had a couple of doorknobs not work the right way, and they reprogrammed some things from California, and bang, it started working in my driveway. But if I have to go to service, I have to go to Milford because that's the only place I can go at the moment. And so I'm just curious as to, it would be better for me if there were some guys rolling around here, if there were some stores around here that I could go for service and or buy a Tesla. I get the fact that Elon Musk wants to control everything. I'm all right with that because it's the car he built. So I'm, as just a consumer of the product, it's an imposition not to have the stores and what I call a dealer. Now, dealer has a very technical meaning in the way that you use it, but in the way that I'm using it, I'm just looking for a place that nearby that I can go take my car and get it fixed or find out what's new. And so I think that's the issue that he wants to bring in, and obviously he's going to create jobs in some fashion to do that. Probably not as many, so that's what I would like to see.
Can I interrupt for one section? Am I missing something? I mean, it seems to me that what Tesla wants to change is that current state law requires companies to apply for a franchise license, right? And so why are they not, they don't want to license the car to other people, or what is going on? I don't.
They want to cut out what they view as a middleman. Okay. And that makes the cars cheaper to the customer, and in theory. And the jury's out on that, because over time, as you pointed out, after 4 or 5 years, who knows, these things may break a lot. You may need some really serious dealer networks to deal with it. But it's a bit of an inside old system that has set up and worked very well around the country for years, and Tesla just wants to bypass it. And state by state, they're trying to get the legislatures to do that, and some of the legislators are doing it, and some are not. So.
Right.
Tesla is a new car company, and they're the most successful new car company in America in about 90 years. And their business model, as you say, is to sell a car direct to the customer, like Apple would sell their computer directly, or you'd buy a cell phone. And they've stumbled across these auto franchise dealer laws, which really were set up to protect somebody like the Mitchells. And I want to say, like Steve, we're good friends. This is fun to be up here. And I have great respect for what the Mitchell family and their franchises have done for Simsbury. But the franchise laws were set up to protect, say, Volvo or Chrysler, to selling a car direct to the customer and bypassing the Mitchell family and their business. They're an independent business. They buy the cars and then they resell them. So it wouldn't be fair for the auto manufacturer to bypass them. That law was never designed to stop a new manufacturer who has a business model of selling direct to the customer. And there's a lot of reasons why they have that business model, and we could discuss those. One is that electric cars are new, and they require a lot of selling. They require a lot of explanation. And you put that in the same dealership with somebody who also sells internal combustion engine cars, and they're not going to get it. And they've seen that with Nissan, and they've seen that with the Chevy Volt, that dealers are actually saying, no, you don't want that. You want to get this internal, this gas engine car. So it's really the dealers in Connecticut, and there's 26 states that have blocked Tesla from selling their cars directly. There's 22 where they're allowed. There's some that, and as you say, in Connecticut, there's a bill before the General Assembly, Senate Bill 3. where we'd like to allow Tesla to have their stores, to create some jobs, to make it easier so we don't have to drive to Milford to sell directly to customers, and really to not let this antiquated franchise law prevent the customer from having the choice of going to a dealer or not.
Steve, we have less than a minute left.
Yep.
You want to argue back, or
He's convinced.
he's going to go out and buy one?
Like I said, the product is a good product, no question about that. But the franchise system, we kind of saw what happened 2 years ago in Simsbury with the horse laws, when someone tried to change the horse laws and just like disrupt that. It's like it's a different scenario. I understand, I get it, but what you're going to do in the long run, in my opinion, is to hurt, well-paying jobs. And it's the one person at the top, Mr. Tesla, Mr. Elon Musk, is going to be extremely wealthy. And whereas in the traditional distribution network, there's many people that have good-paying jobs, and that's what Tesla's trying to get around, as you both alluded to.
Okay, I have to call a halt. Our time is up. It's amazing. It went really quickly. Thanks to everyone here at SCTV for helping me get this show on the air. Thanks especially to my guests, Steve Mitchell, Mark Scully, Brad Mead, and Andre Guilloton. And finally, thank you for joining us. Just a quick editorial note. We are recording this on April 26th, and that's a week before the legislative session ends. And something may have happened in the legislature by the time you see this concerning the franchise issue, so just be aware of that. If you missed any portion of the show, you can find it on our website at simsburytv.org or on YouTube. And don't forget to donate to our Capital Fund Drive to bring us into the 21st century. I'm Dominique Avery. See you next time for the Talk of Simsbury.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.
Since 1984, SCTV has been the place to turn in Simsbury to watch local government in action. But we're more than local government and school meetings. SCTV is the only place where you can check out all the candidates in local elections. We have high school sports and exercise classes. Other shows keep you up on health, finance, poetry, music, and Simsbury hot topics. Now we need your help. Simsbury Community TV is embarking on a major capital fundraising campaign to bring SCTV into the 21st century. We've received a generous grant from the Hartford Foundation for Public Giving, but now we must match it. We want everyone to watch us on TV or on our website, but even if you never do, please help so that we can continue to keep your government open and you informed. Someday, when there's a crisis, you will want SCTV to be there.
Hi, my name is Greta Laurel, Vice President of Personal Insurance Sales with Summit First Insurance. I hope you'll join me in supporting SCTV. Since 1984, your connection to your town, your schools, and your government.